We're now going to cover how to change from float to int. We've changed from one int to another int size and from one float size to another int size. Now we're going to go from float to integer. So this is a float series. And if we try to convert to an int, you might guess what happens. The NumPy integer data types do not allow for missing values. So you will get an error over here. What you can do first is drop the missing values with the drop in a method, and then you can convert it to an integer. It will truncate, not round, the decimals. So we'll just get rid of those decimals. Now, you might think, well, you probably can convert to a nullable int, and that doesn't work right away because your numbers have decimals. Now, let's go ahead and round it first to the nearest or the nearest whole number. If you have only whole numbers, then you do as type to the nullable int. It will work, and you will, because they can handle the missing values. It just can't handle those decimals. Now, I'm not showing this to you as this is something you have to really memorize or keep around, but just to show you some examples how Pandas operates and how it has all these esoteric rules. So you may not be able to figure things out just by intuition. You're just gonna have to experiment and then work with whatever works from your experiment and doing rounding or different as types with the nullable integer. All right, so moving on, we're actually going to go the other direction, go from integer to float. So we have an integer over here, and this conversion will always work. You can always go from integer to float. We have a nullable integer. Again, let's just look at this. Again, this is something we created earlier. And we do as type, and we do, again, this will work. It'll just use the NumPy nan like this. We're going to learn soon about the nullable float from pandas. This is a pandas data type. So you can always go from an integer to float, but going from a float to an int is not always possible or takes some amount of work.